way. Count off front page is loud and strong. For wherever we go, you will always know that the army goes rolling along. First to fight for the right and to build the nation's might, and the army goes rolling along. Proud of all we have done, fighting till the battle's won, and the army
Hi, everyone. Heather is in Buenos Aires awaiting the President and Secretary of State's arrival, so you get me today. Sorry. All right. Nothing for the top. Let's happy to take a question.
That must mean that there's nothing going on.
Oh, there's a lot going on, Matt. There's a couple things going on.
Okay. Well, actually, in keeping with the theme of that, though, I have a kind of a smaller question, but I need to get it out of the way first, and that is the Cubans are complaining that you guys are you're limiting the number of visas that you're giving to their people while they have been more than accommodating with your requests. I got an answer to the one question which had to do with the two embassies, but apparently the Cuban complaint is broader than that, and I just discovered this in the last 15 minutes, so I apologize for that. And that is that they're also complaining that you guys are denying visas for Cuban officials to come to go to New York or to participate in UN events. Do you have any response to that?
I don't have anything specific, but what I can say is we are, the Cuban government is already aware of our concerns about visas, and specifically about staffing at our embassy in Havana. Under reduced staffing levels at the United States Embassy in Havana following the health attacks, every position is vital to our operations, and both of our governments maintains our sovereign right to issue or deny visas to specific individuals, and I would leave it at that.
Well, so you don't have any response to the related?
I don't have anything related, anything specific on specific visa cases. I don't.
No, but I'm talking about your obligations under the UN host country agreement and granting, or their complaint that you're using your authority to deny visas to
Matt, I'll have to look into it. I don't have anything on that.
All right, thanks.
Sure.
Move on.
Let's go to Francesco.
One quick question, Cuba.
All right, Cuba.
Canada announced late last night that a 13th Canadian diplomat has now experienced the same health symptoms that U.S. diplomats have. Are you aware, I guess, of any additional U.S. cases? And are you doing anything to help the Canadians to try to figure out what's going on?
I'm not aware of any new cases. Where we do note that Canadian case, and we are in close coordination on a pretty regular basis with the Canadian government on these issues. As Francesco, I said, please.
On Russia, the president said he won't be meeting with President Putin at the G20. Does the secretary have any plan to meet with Lavrov at the G20 or in the next days, and did he talk with Lavrov about what's going on with Ukraine?
The secretary's schedule at the Group of 20 summit in Buenos Aires will follow that of the president's, and I have nothing new to announce for the secretary.
No conversation with the Russians?
Not aware. I've nothing. I'm not aware of any of that. No. Let's go to Barbara.
So Mr. Pompeo spoke to the Senate yesterday and made a very pointed case to continue military assistance to Yemen, after which the senators voted on the first procedural step to withdraw military assistance. Does the Secretary of State have a reaction to that, since it seems quite a failure of his attempt?
I think the Secretary spoke quite a bit yesterday and made the case that the timing is not right for that. And he made the case quite forcefully that what we're trying to accomplish vis-a-vis Yemen, we're on the cusp And hopefully in December, we're going to be supporting Special Representative Griffiths as we push towards that.
Did he have a reaction to the vote that followed shortly after? his
I
appeal?
haven't spoken to the secretary, and as you know, he's on his way to Buenos Aires. Please, anything further?
The time not right. You said that the time is not right in the war in Yemen. Is there,
Absolutely not. The secretary spoke on this yesterday, and it was clear the time is right for us to end this violence, and so we don't want to give Iran any further cause to continue to fund and supply arms. So we are pushing and just in support of Special Representative Griffiths. Please.
To draw that out a little bit further, when would the time be right for this for Congress to act on ending support for the Saudi campaign?
We are.
Ever? Would there ever be a good time in this administration's view for Congress to weigh in on this matter, or is this something that you think the Congress should have no business in?
Absolutely not. We welcome the views of the Congress in this matter.
The procedural.
We
vote
welcome the
yesterday?
views of the Congress. The Secretary has made quite clear that for the Iran-backed Houthi rebels to be able to establish, something akin to what Lebanon's Hezbollah has done in Lebanon in the Arabian Peninsula would be destabilizing, damaging to American interests and to our allies and partners in the region.
I get that, but you say you welcome the views of Congress, and yet the administration has made clear that the president will veto.
We
this.
appreciate the views of Congress, of course,
I
and we
find that
work
highly-
closely.
No, you don't. I mean, the op-ed that the Secretary wrote in the Wall Street Journal that was published yesterday was extremely harsh. Went after the members of the Washington salons and whatever the experts of the foreign policy experts are not experts, but the community at large. So it's pretty clear that you don't. I mean, he called it caterwauling. It's pretty clear that you don't welcome a different opinion or opposing views to what you have. So I'm just curious as to how you can say with a straight face that you welcome this.
The Secretary has made clear our position on the violence and the humanitarian disaster that has taken place in Yemen, and we just announced additional measures to help alleviate some of that situation, and it's actually quite significant. It's worth mentioning: 131 million in emergency food assistance to the people of Yemen, and that is why we support the Special Representative, and we think the timing is right, and we are on the cusp.
Let me just point out that yes, it is significant. I'm sure that it is appreciated, but that does not answer the question of how you can say you welcome Congress's views on this and then just ignore it and then essentially insult.
We consult with the Congress, please. Let's go to Jenny, please.
Thank you very much. North Korea. Do you know why is there no high-level talks between United States and North Korea?
We are looking forward to having high-level talks. We continue to. Our policy hasn't changed on North Korea. Progress has been made, and we are hopeful that more will be made on North Korea as well.
If North Korea continues to refuse to talk, that will the United States, your strategic patience is over. And over, or how your
The Secretary and the President have been clear. We're not going to be forced into artificial, time constraints here. We've made great progress at the summit in Singapore for the final fully verified denuclearization. We are going to continue to push forward on that, and of course, future dialogue will take place, and it'll definitely be something that Special Representative Began will be leading, and That's okay.
As you know, the special representative Bigan said that last week. He mentioned about maybe they're going to close up windows, because if not listening, anything from North Korea. So what does it mean?
I'm sorry,
You
Jay,
said
I didn't
that,
understand that. They're going to close
close the door or windows, no longer open the windows. I don't know what that meaning is.
I'm not familiar with that statement. I'm not, I
So
don't
that's
want to
why
try
I
to
say-
parse those words. Sorry. Yeah.
Okay.
Lori, please.
The head of the Iraqi militia, Saab al-Haq, which is backed by Iran, recently said that the Hashd al-Shabi should have a role in security along Iraq's border with Syria. What's your comment on that?
The security of Iraq and its borders is the responsibility of the government of Iraq, and I would defer to the Iraqi government for comment.
Okay, and Secretary Pompeo condemned statements that Iranian President Rouhani made at an Islamic conference in Tehran recently when he called for Israel's destruction. Iraqi Vice President Nouri al-Maliki was at the same conference, and he spoke and said that Hezbollah, the Houthis, and the Hashd al-Shabi, which is Iraqi militias, will liberate Palestine soon. What's your comment on Maliki's statement?
As you point out, it was the Secretary was speaking to President Rouhani's comments, and we have no further comment besides that.
The Vice President of an allied state of
Lori,
yours?
we're not going to react to all world leaders' comments here, please.
Well, can I stay on that very quickly? I have a very quick question there for you. Thank you. Yesterday, the U.S. mission to the United Nations circulated a draft resolution to condemn Hamas because of the rocket firing. But of course, it begins by saying, violence against all civilians is rejected and so on. But that not mention Israeli or Israel in any way, shape, or form. I want to ask you first, what is the status of this draft resolution? What's going on? Did you gather enough support? Because I think you need something like 90 member states to support it for it to be voted on.
Said we don't comment on draft resolutions.
It was circulated. I mean, I have a copy.
But we don't comment on drafts. Yeah.
Can you tell us what is going on in terms of talks?
I can't. What I would say is, the root of destabilization and violence in Gaza is Hamas. And beyond that, the world has grown tired of Hamas's violence and the violence of other bad actors in Gaza. That prevents any real help for the people of Gaza.
Today being the International Day of Solidarity with the Palestinian people, do you think the world has grown tired of the Israeli occupation of the West Bank 51 years on?
I would say that Hamas's activities
I'm not talking about
continue to prove
Right.
that they don't really care about the Palestinians
Right.
of Gaza,
Okay, well-
and I'll leave it at that.
Okay, what about you?
And move on.
What
I'm
about
going to move on. I'm going to move on, please.
But they
Sure.
actually are Palestinians.
Okay. Please.
Thank you. Two different questions on two different regions. Let me start with Georgia. Do you have anything on the second round of Georgia's presidential election? What is the U.S. expectation, and what is the implication of this election to U.S.-Georgia relations? Thank you.
Thanks, Nike. I would say the United States looks forward to working with President-elect Stalemate Zurabishvili on continuing our close partnership with Georgia on a range of important bilateral and regional issues, including our robust security cooperation and Georgia's contributions to NATO's resolute support mission in Afghanistan.
Can I move on to ask a question on DRC, Congo?
The Congo, okay.
Yeah. Do you have anything on the closure of the embassy and why it's so long? And do you have any update on the terror threats against the U.S.?
As you point out, the embassy is still closed. It has not adversely impacted United States support to our ongoing efforts there regarding containing that Ebola outbreak. And as far as when we're going to resume operations, I would say we just got to step back and understand that the highest priority in these situations, of course, is the safety and security of American citizens, including our diplomatic and our military and government officials that are serving abroad. So we are closely following the threats against our facilities there. And I can't comment any further on more detail on the actual threat reporting there.
Robert, thank you. But in your estimation, do you think the closure of the embassy and the terrorist threats is something to do with the press release by the U.S. regarding the election over there?
And so with the election,
Yeah,
I don't have anything correlated to that, no.
Do you
So
think
I have nothing
it's
for you on that.
It's targeted at the U.S. announcement on the position on DRC going to have an election in December?
I just don't have any information on that. Sorry, Nike. And
Syria.
on Syria, okay.
You were hoping that the Constitutional Committee will be held by the end of December. Today, Astana Group has failed to agree on a list of members, and you are blaming Russia and Iran for continuing to use the process to mask the Assad regimes, as you said in your statement. What's the alternative now?
Well, Michelle, as you point out, the meeting did not yield to an agreed list of members for the Syrian Constitutional Committee, and it again ended in stalemate. So it failed to produce progress towards advancing the political process, which is, of course, one of our goals. We believe that establishing and convening a constitutional committee in Geneva is vital to a lasting de-escalation and a political solution to the conflict. And that has broad international support. We are going to continue to work to achieve the goals laid out in the United Nations Security Council Resolution 2254, and that includes de-escalation and a reinvigorated political process. But we believe success is not going to be possible without the international community holding Damascus fully accountable for the lack of progress in resolving the conflict.
How can you hold Damascus?
We're going to support the work of the United Nations Special Envoy Staffan de Mistura to convene the committee by the end of the year in his efforts in Geneva as well to broker a political process, and we're going to remain engaged. There's a successor, and we'll work with both, correct. We'll remain engaged with the United Nations on this and other parties. That's the way forward, including Russia. Please.
Do you
right
still
here.
hope that Russia will push the regime to nominate the members? And since you are blaming Russia and Iran for not coordinating and masking the Assad regime, what hope do you expect from?
We're going to remain
Russia?
engaged. We're going to support the UN process, and we're going to keep engaged. Yeah, Ben, please, sure.
Yeah, thank you, Robert. The president's going to have a meeting with President Xi at the G20. Are you expecting any kind of agreements to come out of this meeting that might sort of diffuse the current tension between the two countries?
Ben, I'm going to not get ahead of the president in his meeting. Okay, so, yeah. Okay, go to Connor.
The other meeting that he was supposed to have was with Vladimir Putin. The White House announcing that was canceled and that Secretary Pompeo was involved in that decision. What advice does the Secretary have for the President? Why not have that meeting and send a strong message face-to-face to Vladimir Putin about Ukraine?
I mean, I would point out that happened a couple hours ago, Connor, and it was aboard Air Force One, I believe, that took place, and the Secretary was with the President at the time. So I don't have any further details to provide you. But what's clear is the President's tweets on the subject were quite clear at what we looked for, and that is the return of the Ukrainian sailors and the vessels. The aggression that we've witnessed this week is unacceptable, and a strong message has been sent. Please.
how has a strong message been sent? Just through
Isolation.
the paper statements?
Isolation, okay.
But since the message was sent on Monday by Secretary Pompeo calling for these sailors released, they've actually been moved from Crimea to a jail in Moscow, according to one of their lawyers. Is it time then to increase your pressure other than isolating Vladimir Putin?
I mean, we are our European partners from NATO, OSCE, European Union have all issued strong statements. There have been emergency sessions that have taken place. There is a coalescing of opposition and strong condemnation for the aggression that we've witnessed. And for the United States, our position has been very clear, from the President to Ambassador Haley to Secretary Pompeo. They must return to Ukraine its vessels and detain crew members.
But have those statements failed if they've now moved these sailors into a different facility as opposed to releasing them?
We are going to continue to drive forward on this and to be firm in our position. All right. Let's shortwave.
Yeah, I have one clarification, logistical, one update request, and then one question.
That's a lot.
No.
That sounds
A
difficult
logistical
too.
is
What do you
that
what?
President Trump will be having a trilateral with Prime Minister Modi and the Japanese leader. What about any bilaterals with the officials for the secretary?
I don't want to speak from the State Department on the president's schedule.
No,
That's
about the
something
secretary.
I have nothing to announce. The secretary will be participating in the president's meetings and supporting the president on this trip, and I just don't have nothing else
And
to announce on that.
with the U.S. ambassador now in Colombo, do we have any update on the U.S. position on Sri Lanka?
I don't have anything new today to read out.
Now the question is about the India-Pakistan. They have opened a new at the Kartarpur border, and things are moving. But the Mumbai attack, for which we made the statements, the U.S. has given more award. What is exactly happening behind the scenes? Like, are we serious? 6 U.S. citizens died, and nothing. Those people are out there roaming around freely. And with the new Prime Minister, what is the U.S. Is he coming here? Is there going to be a meeting? Is there what is?
No new meetings to announce at this time. I did. I'm aware of the reports of this Kartarpur corridor, as you referenced there.
Yeah.
Understand that it's kind of a visa-free way for Indians to visit this important Sikh site, and of course, for the United States, we would welcome efforts to increase people-to-people ties between India and Pakistan. I'd leave it at that.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, sure. Let's go right behind Nina, please. Yes, Pakistan.
Nasir from Air Ministry, Pakistan. So I have one question about Afghanistan. A couple of weeks ago, President Trump on Twitter accused Pakistan of harboring terrorists, some kind of very harsh tweet. And Prime Minister Imran Khan also tweeted. There was kind of exchange of harsh tweets on the Twitter. So, but right now, United States looking towards Pakistan to bring Taliban to the table for the peace negotiations. So do you think it's the right time for such kind of statements from U.S.?
The Secretary has emphasized need for Pakistan to deliver outcomes and build confidence and trust between our two countries, and our policy towards Pakistan is clear. Last questions. Would Dan DeLuce, please?
So we had this briefing this morning on Iran's missile program and so on. But given this discussion about Yemen, could you just take a step back? Because the administration from the first day it came into office said it would roll back Iran's influence across the region. This was a top priority. We've had an array of sanctions imposed, sanctions reimposed. We had this briefing about the missiles. Has the administration succeeded in rolling back Iran in Yemen, in Syria, in Lebanon? Or is it time to review the approach?
We're going to continue to push. Our approach to Iran's malign influence has many many factors, and this administration is committed to stopping what Iran is attempting to produce both across the region and globally.
Is there an example of a successful case where you've been managed to do that?
We've gotten out of the failed JCPOA, something that is going to allow us to finally confront the totality of Iran's malign influence and to preserve American interests and peace both in the region and globally. And that's it. I'm going to end it there. Thanks, guys.
For the failed JCPOA. Your reasons for withdrawing from it, but you didn't withdraw from it because it had failed. You withdrew from it because you said it didn't go far enough, and because even if it was succeeding, it wouldn't work.
Correct.
Right?
We withdrew because it failed to counter the totality of what Iran is up to. Thanks, guys. I've got to go. All right.
Hey, wait a second. Did you have
All right, folks, thank you very much for joining us and choosing us as your stream of choice. As you guys heard, Heather Nauert is in Argentina awaiting the president. So that's where she's at right now with Secretary Mike Pompeo. So they're going to be meeting with world leaders in Argentina for the G20 summit, where President Trump announced today that he is canceling his meeting with Vladimir Putin. They were supposed to meet in Argentina to talk about, trade and to talk about alliance when it comes to fighting terrorism and a bunch of other issues that they were going to be talking about today, in Argentina. But that has been canceled. Who knows if they're going to bring it back or if it's going to happen at a later time. We're not 100% sure, but the president did say on Twitter that he is canceling his meeting with Vladimir Putin in Argentina due to what's happening in the Ukraine. So stay tuned for that. We are going to bring you footage from Argentina when the president travels there for the G20 summit with world leaders. So make sure you guys stay tuned live here at Golden State Times. If you'd like to help us continue operation here on YouTube, then you can join our Patreon. You get cool stuff in exchange for your support. So if you are interested, then the link is in the description below for our Patreon, or you can go to patreon.com/Golden State Times and you can look us up that way. We appreciate your interest in helping Golden State Times continue operation and stay live here at Golden State Times as we try to bring you everything that we possibly can that is happening in the State Department, in the White House, in Congress, in the Senate, all over the place. So make sure you guys stay tuned live here at Golden State Times. Subscribe if you are new. Click the notification bell, and hopefully YouTube sends you a notification next time we go live. We're going to be covering more news on our website, goldenstatetimes.com. Again, that's goldenstatetimes.com. We're going to be covering a bunch of news articles of today's news wires, what's going on and what's happening in the news. Thank you so much for joining us, and I'll see you soon. Peace.